Okay guys, resistance session 1.1. You're going to need yourself a kettlebell or a dumbbell. I'm on a 12 kilo one. Some of the guys that have been doing this have been on anything from kind of 6 kilos through to 12, 16. Remember, you want it at a weight that you can kind of press overhead fairly comfortably, sort of 12 to 15 times. Not that it's too easy. There's a little bit of resistance there, but not so much that we're going to be really struggling through today. If you've got a couple of different weights, then you can always chop and change throughout as we get through the session. And you'll know then for when you repeat the session, which weight is your go-to. Okay, so make sure you've done a warm-up, a nice mobilizing, pulse-raising warm-up. We've done our ani-mobility. We did some pulse raising, some ani-mobility, and then some shoulder exercises, some Ys, Ts, and As. And now we're just going to spend a couple of minutes going through the exercises, and that will be our advanced warm-up before we start the circuit. Okay, so exercise number 1. You're going to take your weight, your dumbbell, your kettlebell, or your bag full of school books if that's what you've got. A bit awkward if you're using that, but it does work. Hold it up at the chest, on the shoulder, sorry, elbow tucked in, beneath the wrist, and then all we're going to do is a little dip squat, so just a little dip with the knees, and we're going to use that drive up of the legs to press the weight overhead, and then slowly lower it back down to our shoulder. Okay, and we go again, little dip and drive up, and slowly lower back down. Just 2 more of those to practice. Dip and drive. So we're trying to punch our arm, our fist up towards the ceiling, and then slowly lower back down to the shoulder. 1 more, so that we don't drop the weight onto our shoulder. And that slow lowering adds a bit of an eccentric load in there as well. And we can do the same onto our other arm. You might find a bit of a difference one side to the next. This is where the legs will come in. Let's just go 4 of these then. Dip and drive, and slowly lower it back. And again, and slowly lower down. When we come to do the circuit, and again, we're going to work for 30 seconds on each arm. We're just going to go 6 repetitions. Okay, 1 more, and slowly lower down. Okay, so it's going to be 30 seconds on the right arm. We'll rest the remainder of that 30 seconds after we've done our 6 repetitions, and then we'll go on to our left arm. So that's exercise number 1. Exercise number 2 now is we're going to take it back to our right arm. We take our weight overhead, and we're going to do a reverse lunge, and we're going to step back with the same leg that we are holding our weight with. Okay, so our load's going to be onto the front of our left leg when we're holding it with our right arm. Okay, so we get that nice cross section of work going on, and we just take a nice big step back and back up to the top. Remember to make that step back far enough so that that back knee just brushes the ground behind the hip, keeping your torso nice and upright. Let's go through a couple of those on the opposite side. Again, remember you're holding it with your left arm, so you step back with your left leg. Balance here is going to be one of the big challenges. So you've got to be really strong through the middle to maintain the support of that weight above your shoulder. Okay, that's exercise number 2. Same again, we go 30 seconds right side, 30 seconds left, but the reps increase, so it's 8 repetitions on each side on that one. Okay, back to the right hand, and here we hold the weight down, sort of just hanging in front of our hips, soft knees, and we're going to do a little bit of a jolt with the ankles, the knees, and the hips up onto our toes. And as we do so, we're going to row the weight, pull it up to shoulder height, elbow nice and high. Trying to stay up on your tiptoes whilst the weight is up, elevated by your shoulder. So really trying to get yourself nice and tall, squeezing that weight up, controlling it back down. Same on the other side. And lower. So you're pushing your kind of chest through and forward as well to really get that elevation and height. Okay, just warm up. Panting already. So that's exercise number 3. But we go 10 on each side of those. Okay, 10 reps on each side. Back to the right hand, and it is the swing. Now, important things with the swing is we don't want to be squatting like this as we do it. Okay, there's a small dip squat, so just a softening of the knees, and as soon as those knees have softened, the hips drive backwards. So my chest goes towards the floor, my back stays nice and flat and straight as I swing the weight underneath my legs. So it's dip here and up to chest height. Dip, hips back, drive the hips forward. And you should get a nice swinging movement led by the weight. Okay, it's all on momentum, a little bit like a pendulum, and that will dictate the speed of your movement. When the weight gets back through your legs, here we can drive it forward. But keep that back nice and straight. And it's 12 on each side of the swings. Then we go to our final exercise. If you've got a kettlebell like me, you can grab it by both the handles, elbows together. If you've got a dumbbell, you can just grab the top part of the weight, or just hold your bag of bucks if that's what you've got. Feet just wider than hip width apart, toes slightly pointed out, elbows pointing directly down to the ground, and we're going to keep that chest nice and upright. Squat down, touch the outsides of your elbows to the inside of your knees. So that paddy area on the inside of your knees. So we're really focusing on driving the knees out and making sure that we squat directly down and we're not leaning forward into it. And it's 16 of those, okay? So the reps increase each time. 6, 8, 10, 12, and then 16 on those squats. Those squats, we don't do different sides, obviously it's just one set of squats. Once we finish, we've got the remainder of that minute, which will be about 15 seconds probably, and then a minute 30 between circuits. Okay, so we get a nice break in between for you to grab a drink, for you to get your breath back, and for you to get ready to go. Are you ready then? So we can all kind of go together with our reps on this one, make sure that we're not just pushing out too fast. Today's session is about getting good with the movements, controlling the eccentric phase, the lowering phase, controlling the weight. Yes, when we drive upwards or we swing, we can be a little bit more explosive, but we're not trying to get after it quite today and just hit rep, 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 rep. That will come, don't worry. Okay, so weight in your hand. We're going to start with our dip press on our right hand side, and we're going to go for 30 seconds. So, are you ready? On me. In 3, 2, 1, and weight to your shoulder, dip, punch, and lower. And lower it back down nice and slowly. Good. Halfway there already. Use that drive of the legs. Don't dip down too far. Not trying to do a big squat. Just gain a little bit of momentum so it's not all going into our shoulders on this side. One more. Bang. Nice. And we switch sides. Left arm. Like I said, some of you might find one side not quite as strong as the other, in which case you can just engage that dip squat a little bit more if you need to. That's 4, we've got 2 more to go. Really try and power that weight up though. Punch it up to the ceiling, very explosive movement, and then slow and controlled down. Onto our right side, weight overhead. We're going to do our reverse lunges, 8 reps. We go, remember, step back with the same leg that you are holding the weight with. And do not let that back knee crash into the ground. Keep your support on that front foot. Halfway through. Keep your torso upright. You might move around a little bit in order to balance. That's okay, as long as you're constantly trying to get back to that upright position. Switch sides. Opposite one, away we go. If you've got a bench or a wall or something next to you, that can be used if you need to put a hand there to help you balance. Arm out to the side like I'm doing. Another way of doing it. 2 more. Keep that front foot though, heel flat to the ground. And relax for a few seconds. Right arm, high pull. Remember, thrust, bang, and get that weight nice and high. We're doing 10 of these. Let's go. Stay up on your toes throughout whilst that weight is up alongside your chest. Switch sides. Make sure you keep the weight, let's go, nice and close to your body. So we don't want to be leaning forward here. Stay upright. It's just a slight bend of the knees. Everything as tall as you can up onto your toes. Further the weight away is from your body, the harder it is, less efficient it is, and the harder it is, particularly on the shoulder joint. Rest there. Right hand, swing time. Ready? Dip, hips back, drive forward. Chest goes towards the floor, comes back up forwards. So it's that hinging movement at the hips. Remember, we're doing 12 repetitions of this. Rest there. I'm not really counting reps, I'm just going by the time. It's about 12. Other side, let's go. Dip, hinge, and drive. Dip, hinge, and drive. All in the hips here. If you feel this in your quads, then you're not doing the swing right. Should be in your hamstrings and your glutes. One more. Good job. Squat time. Grab your weight, feet just outside hip width apart, and we drop and drive. 16 times. Take your breath in and out at the top. So ideally, halfway, you're holding your breath throughout each squat. And that's going to really get into our abdominals and our core as well. I've got one more. Good work, guys. We've got 10 seconds left of this minute, then 90 seconds rest. So grab yourselves a drink, have a little walk around, get your head around what's coming. Think about exercises in that last or that first set, which you found easier, some which were a little bit more complex, and just try and think about all the component parts of how your entire body can help. We don't want to be sort of swinging into things like those rows, so we're not trying to really be throwing the weight around like this. Just that little hip pop and elevation onto the toes. Really just give that weight a little bit of momentum. And create the power element, which this kind of workout is all geared towards. Whew. All right, so we've got 45 seconds. And then we're going to get straight started with our dip and press. On the dip press, if you feel it a bit uncomfortable on your wrist, it might be because your elbow is too far across and the weight is pulling your wrist down. So press the elbow out a fraction so the weight actually sits on that forearm there and takes a little bit of the load. All right then, 15 seconds. I was going to hold the weight for the full 15 then, but I thought better of it. Take the rest while we can. Okay, come on then. In 5. It's kind of power workout. You need the rest for it to be really, really effective. Weight goes up. Ready? 6 dip presses. Let's go. Dip, punch, and slowly lower down. Punch, punch, slowly lower down. I was going to say press, and then I was going to say punch. That's 3, and lower down slowly. we could do a lot more than 6 on this exercise. Absolutely we could. But we're just trying to set it up for the sequence of all exercises throughout the circuit. Switch sides onto the left, dip, punch. Use those legs, guys. If you're feeling any weakness in the arm, use those legs more to really drive up. Really short but dynamic drive with the tops of the legs through to the hips, and really help get some momentum onto the weight to drive it up. Switch to the right side and reverse lunge time. Same leg to arm. Ready? And we go. Whoa, check that balance. And we're just doing 8 reps on this one. As you get more used to it, you'll find that your lunge has a very similar pattern. Whereas if any of you are a bit newer to lunging, switch arms, you might find that back foot goes into a variety of different places. Let's go. Make sure you keep solid through here, so you're just placing that back knee down to the ground. Should just brush the mat, but not go crashing in. One more. Good work. High pull time. Right arm. Remember, stay tall. Let's go. Elbow nice and high. 10 of these, remember. 8, 9, 10. Same again, really dynamic movement on the pull. Lower slowly. Ready? Other side. Let's go. Halfway there. Come on, 2 more reps. 9, 10. Good work. Swing time. Right hand. Feet just wider than hip width. Soft knees. Drive. You're not going to be able to help your shoulder come across a little bit, but you've got to really try and make sure that the entire torso doesn't twist. So really from the hips through to the rib cage, try and keep everything rest there, nice and straight. Just that shoulder that will come across. Okay, switch sides. Ready? Let's go. The knees can straighten as we drive through with the hips. But if you notice when I'm doing this, I haven't got a very big bend at my knees at all. Just a slight flex. That's going to help me get into rest there, my hams and my glutes a little bit more. 16 squats. Let's go. Drive through the heels here. Knees go out. Chest stays forward. Halfway. Sinking those hips down. Final 4. In between the heels. Last one. 4. Yes, well done. 2 rounds done. 1 round to go. Have a breather, have a drink. Take a knee. As we progress through the weeks or the days of this kind of workout, we have a couple of options for progression. Now, One of them obviously is we have and keeping a variation of exercise is really going to help to challenge us cardiovascularly by making it probably a little bit more about that. If we want to adapt these key movements, then we can either progress the weight, is the simplest way of doing it. But certainly when it comes to single arm stuff and this kind of holding and balancing, it's not just some sort of something that you can just add 2 kilos, 2 kilos, 2 kilos, week on week on week, because before you know it, you're at 30 kilos, and that's quite a lot to hold above your head with one arm and do these balanced lunges as well. So I'll explain at the end. We're going to do a combination of the two, okay? So your first session is like this, as we are doing now. If you're going to do a second session this week, depending how hard you find this first session, you can either repeat to increase your awareness and your ability at the exercises, or I'm going to show you a cool little way of knocking it through the roof. Ready then? Final round, guys. Weight to your shoulder. Remember, push that elbow through a little bit to take the weight. And we go. 6, dip, press. Let's go. No hip bending here, no hinging, not coming forward. Dipping the knees and driving. When I push the weight up, kind of allow the weight of it to sink into my shoulder as well. Switch arms. So I'm not trying to really elevate my shoulder up as high as possible. Ready, left side, let's go. So in terms of progressing weight, that's 4, 2 more to go. Except, I'm on 12 kilos at the minute. 1 more. My aim on this is to get to 20 kilos. Working this with a 20 kilo weight in the next few weeks. Lunge time. Ready? Let's go. So depending what weight you guys are starting with, you might have a similar kind of small short-term goal in order to get that weight, that 8, 10, 12 kilo weight up to a 10, 12, 14, 16, whatever it might be for you guys. So it's just an 8 kilo increment for me, switch sides. But on single side stuff, that's a lot of difference. But I've said it now on film, so you can hold me to it. 3 more. The last one, guys. Oh. Whew. Okay, high pull time. Right hand. Ready? Drive the hips onto the toes. 2, 1, let's go. One more. Make sure you've got that very slight softening of the knee so you can extend through the knees as well. Ready? Let's go. That's 5, halfway there. Elbow nice and high. 7, 3 to go. Last 2. Use the ankles. 1 more. Nice. Right arm swing. Ready? Let's go. Try and keep your neck here neutral with the entire rest of your spine as well. Last one. So as we hinge, we're not raising the chin and looking forward. Ready? Let's go. Nice work. Final round of squats. 2, 1, let's go. Again, slow it down. Then really try and press your feet into the floor and engage all of your middle area to make sure that there's no rounding of the back as you drive. So you can get those knees right the way down to, sorry, your elbows right the way down to your knees. If you can't, that's fine. You work to your range. 2 more. And rest. Great workout, guys. Well done. Okay. I want you now to spend next 5-10 minutes, more like 10 minutes. Really good stretch. Hamstrings. So our usual hamstring stretches here, both sides. Hip flexor stretching, both sides as well. I'm going to go through each one of those 3 times. Okay, so 3 lots of hamstring on each side, 3 lots of hip flexor on each side. Take your time and breathe through them and just try and gradually extend them out. We've also got a nice shoulder stretch to put in at the end, where we're down onto our heels, fingers clasped behind our back, just like we did on Monday in the shred workout, and lower down. A nice extension there through the shoulders. Okay, so those are your key stretches to do. If there's any others that you want to add in there, do so. 5 to 10 minutes, stretching, cooling down. Great job. Well done, guys. See you next time. I'm back. Signed off then before I told you guys about the progressions. So the simple one, as I mentioned, was just adding a little bit of weight. See how you get on with your first session. You can judge with the weight that you've used. Is that right for you at the moment? Was it just too easy? Was it too light and you feel you need a little bit more resistance? Was it a bit too heavy actually, and during maybe the 2nd or 3rd set you couldn't kind of complete those movements anymore? So you've got a bit of a judgment to make there. How badly you're tired, whether you need to lower the weight or whether you just stick to it, and a bit of familiarization might give you the kind of go-to strength elements, neurological strength elements that you need. So that's our first easy way of modifying and improving and moving on that session. Do your first one with your weight. If you're going to do a second session this week, you can try, if it was too easy, like I said, add a slightly heavier weight. Remember, we don't want to go too heavy. It's got to be fast, punchy movements and controlled eccentric movements. The other way to do it, if you've done your one session and you want to really push it on in your 2nd or 3rd session for the week, we're going to do as many rounds of that as you can in a 15-minute time frame. That took us 18 minutes, 18 and a half minutes, because we had 1:30 in between sets, and we did each arm, each exercise off a 30-second turnaround. Now, you can just do that. Go through the routine, go through the exercises, rest whenever you need to rest. That's your choice when you want to rest, but you've got to do 6 dip presses, you've got to do 8 reverse lunges, you've got to do 10 high pulls, 12 swings, 16 squat, all of those exercises in that order, but set a timer for 15 minutes and see how many rounds you can get done in 15 minutes. That's a great way, rather than adding more weight, of boosting the efficiency of that workout. Make sure that the form is key, that you've still got those fast power movements and slow eccentric, and yeah, go for it, guys. Enjoy. This would be a Thursday and a Saturday for you if you can, or just a Thursday or just a Saturday session for you in addition to the other shred stuff that we're working. And I'll see you next Tuesday at 5 o'clock for our next step. All right, guys, take it easy.